All right, Grant, here's where we left off with our oil seal carrier. I mentioned last time that we were going to work on boring this hole out. And if we look at the blueprint, we can see that that's this hole right here. And this hole needs to be 0.6 deep, and it needs to be a diameter of 1.105, which is an odd diameter. So I don't have a counter bore or a drill bit that's that size. And the reason why it's odd is because it needs to fit this oil seal. So this oil seal needs to press right in here. So we need to make sure that the diameter of this hole is the same diameter as the outer body of this. So what we're going to do that is we're going to use a boring bar, which is this right here. It has a bit of carbide on the tip. And so what it's going to do is it's going to come in and it's going to cut just like our facing tool. It's going to come in and cut all the way down until we get to 0.6 deep, and then we're going to take it back out and we're going to move it over and we're going to cut in again until it's 0.6, and we're going to keep doing that until we get to the inner diameter of 1.105, and then we're going to test fit the oil seal. All right, now I've got the boring bar in there, and because it's a small hole that we need to go into, I've used a small boring bar, which means we're going to have to take light cuts because we don't want to snap the boring bar off. We've got the boring bar in the tool holder and the tool holder in the tool post. And we've got it all aligned with the cutting bit there. Now the key here is to make sure that there's clearance on the faces. So the lower face there on the front needs to clear so that front top edge is the only thing that touches the work. It also has a little bit of a rake on the top to allow the chips to cut well and to escape. All right, if we reference our blueprint, we can see that the depth of this bore needs to be 0.6, which means we need to travel the carriage in 0.6 every time we make a cut. And so what we're going to do is we're going to set this up. We're going to back the tool off until it just touches the face, which is what it's doing now. So we've touched it. All right, there's the focus. We've touched it off. That's our 0. And we're going to come back here, and because we don't have dials on our carriage here, what we're going to need to do is set up this dial indicator. So now I've got the dial indicator set. We're going to roll it to 0. See, it doesn't need to be perfect, but we're right at 0. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn this until we have that dial go over 6 times, and then we know we're going to be 6 thousandths in. So I'm going to turn the carriage so that it clears into the hole. Turn the cross feed. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to roll this over. We're going to count 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll sneak up on it. 6. Okay, but we're not going to have that dial there the entire time. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to loosen up our carriage stop. And we're going to slide it in until it touches on the top of the apron. And that's our 0.6 depth. And then we're going to tighten the carriage stop down. And then we're going to leave it there. And as we cut, we're going to cut in until we hit that carriage stop. And then we're going to stop, back it off, and start cutting again. All right, I've already taken a test cut just to make sure everything works out. So we're going to go ahead and make the next cut. And because this is kind of tricky when you do boring, we're going to take much lighter cuts than we were with the cutting tool or the facing tool. So we've set our dials, and we're going to do 10 thousandths at a time, which means in our case that it's going to take off 20 thousandths of the diameter because it's non-direct reading dials. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to go ahead and engage the motor pulley. We're going to make sure that we're all set up here. Our carriage stop is set for 0.6. And then we're going to turn the dial, except we have to turn the dial out because we're cutting in this direction. Normally if we were cutting in, if we were reducing the diameter, we would be going this way. So we're going to turn it 10 thousandths right there-ish. We're going to turn the lathe on. And we're going to slowly advance it. All right, now we're up against the carriage stop. We're going to reverse the travel. We're going to come down here to the dials. We're going to advance it another 10 thou. We're going to come back up, and we're going to advance it again. All right, we're at the carriage stop. We're going to back it off, and we're going to keep doing that until we get to an inner diameter of 1.105. All right, we're getting pretty close. We've got about 70 thousandths left to go. Just a couple more cuts. So we're going to advance the dials another 10 thou. We're going to roll it in. Turn on lathe. Alright, let's do a quick check with the calipers to see how close we are. And we're at 1.05, and we need to get to 1.105, or whatever ends up being a nice light interference fit with the oil seal. So we're going to probably take another 20 thou, and then we're going to start creeping up on it. Okay. You can see that we've got it all bored out, and we've got it bored out right to 1.1050, which is what Brian said we needed. And now we're gonna test fit this oil seal. I put a little oil on there so it'll slide right in. And we kind of put it in, and we've got a bit of a slip fit. So there may be a need to put a little bit of blue or red Loctite on that to keep it from popping out. But that's done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to use the cutoff tool, or the facing tool, and we're going to break these edges just so that they don't catch any of the seals. All right, Grant, we've got the facing tool in the tool holder, and what we've got is the straight forward facing cutoff tool. And what we're going to do is we're going to come right in here, and we're going to move it in like this. And then when we turn the lathe on, we're going to roll it to the left and cut a little fillet there, and roll it to the right, or a chamfer, and cut a little chamfer there. And then we're going to back it out, and we're going to move it over, and we're going to advance it, and then we're going to roll it over, and we're going to cut a chamfer there. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we're going to flip the orientation of this cutter, and then we're going to come in and we're going to cut this edge right here. All right, it was going to take a little bit more adjustment to do the cutter to get that inside edge broken right here. So instead, I'm just going to take this hand reamer, and we're going to turn the lathe on, and we're going to clean it up.